Today I'm going to take you guys down to Percival Landing, and we're going to look at the Sandman tugboat. It's a part of history in the Olympia area, been around for over 100 years. Today is the last day they're going to give tours of the boat because they're running into some financial problems, and they've got to cancel out their insurance policy. So without insurance, can't take the chance of having people getting hurt on board. On top of that, they got some maintenance issues. They might have to dry dock the Sandman and do some fixing. So they're hoping to raise some funds. Today's the last day to do the tour, so we're heading that way. And I'll show you Sandman, give you a little history of Sandman, and should be a good time. So let's all go. Head on down to Percival Landing. There it is, the famous Sandman at the Percival Landing. The vintage tugboat Sandman is over a century old. She's embarking on a new mission. This historic boat has always been based in Olympia. Her first career lasted 75 years and was devoted to helping larger vessels and hauling goods on the waters of the Puget Sound. Following a thorough restoration, she was relaunched in 2005 and began her second career, one that is devoted to education so that future generations might gain a greater appreciation of Olympia's maritime heritage. Construction of the Sandman was commissioned in 1908 by Arthur Weston. Mr. Weston was the owner of the Olympia Sand and Gravel Company. The boat was built by the Crawford and Reed Shipyard in Old Town, Tacoma. Finish work on the pilot house was completed by the H.A. Long Boat Works firm in Olympia, and the boat began service in 1910. Mr. Weston used the boat to tow barges hauling building materials from the quarries near Steilacoom, hence the name of the boat, Sandman.
Mr. Weston also liked to play poker, and he was not adverse to taking a hit off the bottle as they were doing it. And so it must have been rather a awkward conversation, I expect, with his wife, who was the bookkeeper for his company, when he explained to her the next morning that, well, he had lost Olympia Sand and Gravel. However, he maintained ownership of Sandman, and so he had the fortuitous for him that Sandman turned to be about just the perfect size in those days for doing commercial work.
In 1922, the boat was sold to Delta Smith, who owned Capital City Towing Company, consisting of a fleet of up to 7 tugboats. During the next 30 years, Sandman towed rafts of logs and barges containing a variety of goods, including bringing newly harvested Olympia oysters to the processing plant. That same year, the gasoline engine was replaced by a 100-horsepower Fairbanks Morse 3-cylinder diesel engine. In 1944, Smith installed a new 110-horsepower 6-cylinder Caterpillar diesel engine. This engine remains in the boat to this day. By the 1950s, the economics of the tugboat industry were changing, and much of the old-growth timber growing near maritime waters had been logged. In 1953, Smith sold his towing company to Foss, and 6 of the boats were relocated to Tacoma and Seattle. Only Sandman remained in Budd Inlet in Olympia. 2 local owners, Fred Chadwick until 1964, and then France Schlottman until 1987, continued to operate the boat, which by then was believed to be the oldest working tugboat on the southern Puget Sound. During the Schlottman era, Sandman played an integral role in the establishment of Olympia's Harbors Days in 1974. For many years, the tug served as the host boat for the annual Labor Days tugboat races and was featured on the posters for the event. The last private owner, Bob Powell, acquired the boat in 1987 after France had retired, but her working days as a commercial tugboat had come to an end. In 1997, the boat was transferred to the new Sandman Foundation, whose mission was to restore the aging vessel. But before restoration could even begin, Sandman sank. On October 28, 1998, while moored at Olympia's Swantown Marina, the boat's bilge pump failed. Before anyone noticed, the hull filled with water, and she sank to the bottom with only her smokestack sticking out in the air. Working around the clock, members of the foundation and other volunteers were able to refloat the vessel. But it was obvious that the boat was in need of major, costly repairs, or her long life might be nearing its end. Fundraising began, and a large grant was received from the United States Department of Transportation, due in part to the boat having been listed on the National Register of Historic Sites. These funds were sufficient to enable rebuilding of the deck and hull, which was done by Port Townsend Shipwrights Co-op from 1999 to 2001. Then, the boat was towed back to Olympia and was dry docked for the next several years while volunteers rebuilt the cabin house and refurbished the engine. Major restoration was completed just in time for Harbor Days 2005, and the boat was relaunched on September 1st, 2005. We need to help keep the Sandman afloat. So I'll link something to the website for Sandman, and maybe go there and watch and see if they end up setting up a GoFundMe page and help them out.
My name is Doug Eklund. Currently, I'm the president of the Sandman Foundation. Would dearly love to find somebody else to do that, but I'm here as long as I need to be.